In conversation with Jim Price. Dr. Price is an award-winning author and creator of the Arrowed from the Hood Social Skills series for grade KCs. He was awarded the Kingdom Indie Author Award for Top Children's Book for his book The Adventure of Arrowed from the Hood, A Trip to the Park. His book series has been featured with CBS, Fox, ABC Networks, and The Morning Show inside South Florida and Kid Light TV affiliate of PBS Kids. He earned his doctorate from American International College, where he works as a professor and has been dynamic with his work with understanding poverty with the release of his book, A Retrospective Report of the Effect of Poverty and Youth of Color. He also works as a school counselor for the public school, which gives him inspiration for social lessons for his children's books. His children's series has been adapted into animated cartoons episode and the premiere of first episode will be released on his YouTube channel. Dr. Price looks to inspire youth worldwide to be the best version of themselves through literacy and promoting self-love. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today Dr. Jim Price. How are you doing today, Jim? Welcome on the show.
I am tremendously blessed and honored to be a part of the show. English literature, Peter, man, I've been just so biting at the bit to be able to share and collaborate and everything. And now the moment is here, and I'm so blessed and happy to be a part of the show.
I'm excited we are here, really. And thank you so much for those lovely compliments and thanks for attending, accepting the invitation to be on. It's quite lovely to have you here. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it so much. I definitely do. Tremendous blessing.
Thank you. So, Jamie, I need to say, first of all, that I've been following quite a lot of your posts really on social media, and I really say I love the description of your book, The Adventure of Arrowed from the Hood, A Trip to the Park. And also, even from reading your bio, I can see that you've got an amazing mission out there towards the writing of the book and the mission you've got for youth out there. But then I'd like to ask you, what's led you to becoming an author? How do you started with writing The Adventure of Aaron from the Hood, and why you start from children's book? I think I've got three questions in there, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, my journey, my author journey, started a long time ago, probably back in 2014, 2013, something
Wow.
around that nature. My work as a school counselor, as you know, entails a lot of different aspects of things. So,
Yeah.
also a part of that is doing social skills group with kids. So, at that time back then, I was working at a behavioral school, and it was servicing behavioral students who were out of district
Mm.
placement and things like that. So
Wow.
I was at that time integrating and dealing with elementary school age kids. So you had the behaviorals, you had the elementary, and they were very, attention span was not very good. So I had to figure out a way to kind of figure that out so they could get the social skill lessons and pay attention to what was going on in terms of the lessons and stuff. So I came up with the idea of bringing in a snail puppet one day. I said, I got to find a way to get their attention. So I got a hold of the snail puppet from a drawer or cabinet somewhere. It was just stuffed in there. I just brought it out. And I said, I'm going to bring it to the social skill group with the kids. And before I walked in, I said, I got to give this puppet a name or something. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to call it Harold from the Hood. And I walked in, gave the lesson, and I made it like an incentive for the kids. If they paid attention to the lesson, I would give them a little puppet show with Harold and stuff like that. And it kind of worked. And that's kind of where the idea bloomed from.
Oh, that's quite amazing to know, really. And I can see that you don't only just have one, you have one, a trip to the park, you have another one when I feel so annoyed. Can we see what it looks like? If we can raise a book to the camera, if they're close by with you. Yeah, that's Arad from the Old, when
When
I
I
feel
feel
so
so
annoyed.
annoyed.
Yeah, could you
Yeah.
tell us about the making of that? Beautiful illustration you've got, even.
Thank you. Thank you. So this, I mean, all my books incorporate social skill learning as the guise for every book that I produce, because we know that social skills are the building blocks for the foundation of how we think, feel, respond to
Yeah,
others in those social interactions that we have. So it's so
absolutely.
important. And developing those skills as children is where a lot of the real growth and development can take place. And of course, those skills last a lifetime. So with
Mm,
this particular book, I was focused on helping to have the focus be on children dealing with frustration and anger in a healthy way. that was the focus of the book, and also, including with that, like problem solving skills, being a problem solve with others,
Mm.
advocating for self, things of that nature. So this book primarily was the focus of like dealing with frustration and anger in a healthy way. We know even with the school systems, a lot of
Yeah,
kids, especially after pandemic, they're still kind of adjusting socially to being back in the classrooms and stuff like that. Even today, yeah, it's been years, but they're still
absolutely.
adjusting. So a lot of that, I see that, and so I felt that I was really compelled to like do a book that really focused on that aspect of not only just that, but giving tips and pointers on
Mm.
how kids can self-soothe and self-regulate themselves to be able to make it through those tough times where they're dealing with frustration and anger.
Yeah, that's a lovely one, really. I love your description of that. Quite beautiful. It's a very good thing for kids to know how to develop their social skill. And I think capturing that when they're quite young, it's a very lovely one because it tends to stay with them as they begin to age and grow and advance in age, even in their teenagers and even adulthood, really. It's a lovely
Mhm.
one. It's a beautiful one, really. And having said that, I'm curious to ask you why you choose children's literature. I mean, why not, you've written one, you've written two. What inspired you to write in this genre of children's literature as opposed to other genres of literature, say poetry or short stories or novels, etc.? Let's see. What's your take? What's your motivation towards children's literature?
I think even when I was younger, I had that kind of counselor aspect to myself. Like,
Oh,
like a lot of my family and stuff, like if we had talked, maybe they would bring up problems and stuff, and I kind of was that person that people would kind of talk to. Not just that, but I could be in a grocery store, a complete stranger waiting in line, and they would kind of talk. All of a sudden, I pinpoint me and kind of talk about issues in their lives, and I don't have a clue who they are, but I would never reject that
mm,
aspect of myself, of being helpful. So I kind of see myself as kind of a light worker, a person who has
oh,
a purpose, and a part of that purpose
love
is
that.
inspiring youth to be the best versions of themselves that they can be through self love, self worth, understanding that they can change, they can make a
Mm,
difference, and their
yeah,
futures are bright, if they incorporate those things of loving themselves and stuff like that. So a lot of that I do is around kind of that purpose. And
mm,
when you're living in your purpose and you're doing the things you're doing and you're
beautiful.
aspiring and you're trying to
Yeah,
bring your work message worldwide like that in that capacity, then doors do open. Doors do open when
absolutely.
you're trying to do something that's creative. And I think
Mm,
I make the books colorful and vibrant. And I try to always have a message, like even in the back of the books, I try to have like a positive
um,
message that I give to each one that can inspire not just children, but families, adults, families, communities as well. So I think a lot of that is just connected with my purpose too.
oh, that's amazing to know, really. I enjoy listening to you talk about that. Quite educative, quite inspiring, and quite beautiful as well. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And now I wanted to diversify a little bit, yeah? What do you enjoy most in being a children's author? Also, what do you feel is your purpose? I'm not quite sure you've gotten into that yet, but I need some more answers to that, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, being able to collaborate, like being an author, and I
Mm,
mean, my journey has been kind of really amazing in terms of the things that happen. You go from having one book, children's book, then you have two, then you have three. You're moving
yeah.
on, and then you're awarded the Kingdom in the Author Award for
Wow.
my first book, the top children's book. I
Yeah.
mean, all this stuff is just fast tracked a lot of opportunities to connect with so many people from so many different places, like around the world and stuff like that. And I think that's the most inspiring thing is being to collaborate, being able to share ideas is amazing. How you get people who will say, "Hey, your work inspires me in the
Mm,
way," and they might be from another country or something like that, and
absolutely,
those things you know that your message is being heard
Yeah,
and you know that your message is being received by others in that way, and it makes you feel good to know that you're
absolutely.
inspiring, being inspire others and things like that. And I think in terms of the purpose, that's always been my thing, just helping. When you're a school counselor, I always tell like other counselors, we're helping people. If you're in the school counseling business, you're helping soul. You're somebody who wants to help others and you want to
Yeah.
inspire others to be better and do better for their lives and things like that. So, I mean, a lot of the purpose is connected to that too. where it's not just it's about the kids too, but it's also about helping and healing families,
Mm.
helping inspire families, helping inspire communities worldwide, wherever you may be, to know that there's hope. There's
Mm.
hope and aspirations to be able to do better and see better and have a vision for yourself that is worthy of you being uplifted and praised and
Yeah.
things like that. So a lot of all that connects with my purpose of my message of healing and all that stuff and just being the best version of yourself. And
It's
I think those
amazing.
things are just so inspiring and when you can do it on the platform I am as a award-winning author and stuff like that, who I would never have imagined a lot of this stuff would ever have happened. You go from writing a book and all of a sudden, you're on CBS and ABC and all this other
That's
stuff.
amazing.
You're making animated cartoons. Like
I
I
c-
would never have imagined any of this stuff, but I know it's all a part of my blessing of being in my purpose and stuff like that too.
yeah, I can imagine how those awards make you feel, how those featuring in those big BBC, ABC, etc. This how that makes you feel as an author, like, oh, interesting, that's quite amazing. I never knew I'm gonna get this kind of recognition for my books, when I started writing it, etc. It's a lovely feeling, really. Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
absolutely, absolutely.
Now let's talk, because one of the things that intrigued me most about writing, it's the aspect of publishing and marketing. Because you've written a genre of children's literature, and I understand that children do not have money to buy books for themselves. They have to rely heavily on their parents. Yeah, I wanted you to talk more about how you see the importance of marketing and book promotion, and what challenges do you think that has posed and you so far being an author of children's books?
Yeah, absolutely. Marketing and promotion is a big thing now. It's interesting because when you first started, I had no clue about any of this stuff. Like I didn't know anything about marketing, promotion, any of this stuff. I was just kind of like, oh, I made a book. Now what? Like, and that was my first book. And I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of everything. But the aspect of that is so far fetching. And sometimes people don't realize how important the marketing and the promotion part of it is and how much
Yeah.
work goes into that. Like,
Mm. Wow.
when I first came out, I didn't really have an idea what direction to go for promotion and marketing. So I had ended up joining a lot of online book groups and stuff like that and promoting the books through there and being able to kind of branch out to
The names.
bring the best message to a larger audience. And
Mm.
that's kind of like where everything started for me in terms of the promotion. And I know even today, like, I'll do read alouds and at the local schools here
Mm.
in the community in Springfield, Mass. And the surrounding communities, do a lot of book readings and appearances and things like that. And a lot of times I know these kids are impoverished, living in poverty, inner city kids and stuff like that are living in poverty and dealing with, not having much money. So a lot of
Mm.
times, the schools collaborate with me to work that out where we can actually get books purchased for the kids and while I do my lessons or, do the read alouds and things like that to have them get a copy of the book. And I always make it a point to always sign every book, every single book, handwritten. I don't have a, I don't, I was at my last event and they're like, hey, you need to get a stamp, one of those stamps so you can sign the stamp your signature. Cause it was like it was a lot of books and it took me a while to sign them all, but I felt like that's a part of the purpose. I wanted to be authentic. I want
Yeah.
everything that I do to be authentic and me sitting down and signing every single one of those books by hand and letting those kids know, the teachers were going to give them the books and stuff, let them
Absolutely.
know that,
Yeah.
we care, we're connecting. And it's not all about the money either. It's about the,
Yeah.
the message and stuff like that. And that's what I always geared toward. Yeah, you do the TV stuff and the animation stuff and all this other stuff, but the real thing is like the real connections, making those real genuine connections with people and with families and just spreading that message about what I'm about in terms of self-love, self-care, and social skill building at its finest
Yeah.
level. You know what I mean? And considering that, I was born in the same city as Dr. Seuss, which
Oh,
yeah, so when they say
wow.
Mulberry Street, I've driven by Mulberry Street plenty of times in my, in real life, probably thousands of times. But,
Wow.
born and raised in Springfield, Mass, that kind of gives me that edge. Your inner city, you're raised, I've done my part be dealing with poverty and things like that too, and
Wow.
going through those kind of aspects of things. So, it gives you a different perspective on,
Absolutely.
understanding that, yeah, the kids might not have a lot of money to
Mhm.
purchase the books, but you know what? When you collaborate with others who care the same as you do, then you can find a way to make that work for those kids. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Oh, wow. I love your answer to that question. Sounds to me to be quite educative and quite instructive, really. Quite beautiful as well. Thank you
Thank you.
for mentioning. And now, apart from the books you've mentioned, and I'd like you to show both books to the camera again, from the first one to the second one, please show it briefly to the camera, just so we see what it looks like.
So this is the first book,
Yeah.
Harold from the Hood, A Trip to the Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is my award-winning book right here.
Oh, beautiful.
Hair from the Hood, The Trip to the Bar. This is what I was awarded the award for, and this actually is the first cartoon adaptation that I did for Harold
Oh,
from the Hood. So the first cartoon episode is based off adaptation of this book right here. So this is my
wow.
first. My second book, Friends Like Different Things, is based on making friends, keeping friends, trying exploring different you know activities and things,
Yeah.
sharing and making those kind of aspects. So this book
Yeah.
is around this, and I had this book reviewed quite a few shows as well. I
Interesting.
don't have a copy of the third book on hand because I had just literally given it a lot of them to the last event that I was at, so I didn't I didn't have too many on hand, but I do, like you said, I do have the fourth one, and that was
Wow.
when I feel so annoyed with deals with helping kids deal with frustration. And I also do have a copy of the book that I did the research with,
Oh,
in terms of poverty,
yeah.
a retrospective report of the effects of poverty and youth of color. So this book right here was based off my research done in my dissertation. So I just took like the dissertation and just made it into a book format as as a resource for colleges or libraries or whatever. If students need to be doing research about poverty or around poverty, this kind of really dives into it, not just from the perspective of the current situation, but I took it back to the past, America's past, and the things that happened in the past in terms of discrimination, racism, all those things, how that culminated to where we're at today in terms of poverty, and how a lot of those aspects impact, youth of color today and youth, inner city societies today.
Hmm. Interesting, really. I love your description of that and the short synopsis you've given in there. Quite beautiful to know. And just apart from these books you've mentioned so far, do you have another one you're currently working on?
I am actually in the process, but I'm in between a lot of things right now. I'm in the process of putting the framework together for the fifth children's book. I haven't really figured out like title wise what it is, because now I'm like also in the process of having the second animated episode, which is going to be based on one of the
Oh,
books put together too. And I want to give a shout out to FX in Color Studios, which
oh,
helped bring
wow.
that to life and everything like that. So I'm actually in the process of working on the second animated adaptation cartoon based off one of
Interesting.
the books. So I'm in that, and then also releasing my new virtual or digital magazine. I'm kind of
Mm,
diving into that, and that's Perspective Minds magazine, which is based on
mm,
mental health education. So in the
mm,
magazine, digital magazine, we'll be talking about dealing with stress, how to deal with stress, how to overcome childhood trauma. Things of that nature. So it's really based. That digital magazine will be based on like mental health education and things
mm,
like that. And that releases in May, so I'm hoping I get a lot of support for that. We've definitely been doing due diligence. Want to definitely say thank you to Lady Tracy in that regard for helping connect me with that opportunity to have it
mm,
my digital magazine. So I do have the new book kind of in the mix of everything else is that going on.
wow.
But I've been, just kind of, and then, of course, with working every day and with
Yeah.
the school and stuff. So I really am, just trying to balance everything out in that way between the release of the new digital magazine and then, the work with the new cartoon episode and stuff like that, while in the backdrop having the idea of what the next book will look like in the children's series, in the award-winning children's series, like what would that entail? What is going to be the social lesson for
Mm.
that? So I am putting the framework together for that too.
Quite beautiful. And I know it's quite a lot, really, trying to balance all of those things together, trying to balance the real life and the author writing life. Why you having a deadline, you're having to set a goal and priority for this. It's quite a lot you've got ongoing. I hope you find some times to sleep.
I always say self care is the best care. So I always make
Right?
sure I make sure I take care of myself. Do my self care. So I might go to the, do something. Whether it's like playing video games, I can do the Call of Duty thing. Go on there, talk a little trash, and get my KD ratio up and stuff like that. Or even I love reading. I love reading about like historical context of things, history books about history and stuff. So I'd use those as ways as self care because I mean,
Mm.
if you're not taking care of yourself in terms of things, and
Oh,
it's hard for me to go to school and give the kids the best that I got if I'm
mm.
not mentally and spiritually where
Yeah,
I need to be in terms of taking care of myself. So I make that an important aspect to make sure
very
I
important.
take at least a little time out of my day to do something just for me. You know what I mean? And I think
Absolutely.
everybody should do that actually, take a little bit of time out of the day, even if it's 10 minutes just to do something for you. And that connects to self-care.
Mm.
That's also important too, to be able to have the energy to go and do all the things you do in a typical day and take care of household, pay bills and all this other stuff. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
they're very important, really. Thank you. Thank you for that lovely description. And I also wanted to ask you, as a published author, especially someone in the written in the children's literature genre, what sort of advice would you advise other writers, the upcoming one, who are looking forward to writing and publishing a book, but they're quite struggling with it? What advice would you give someone in this category? And also, where can interested readers, viewers rather, get a copy of your books from?
Yes. So the advice I would give, and this is one of the things, especially with my first book, I was just so intimate about wanting the book to be so perfect, and in the real context of things, even people, no one's perfect. Even, people are just, no one's perfect. So I think sometimes you get hung up on wanting the book to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It
Yeah,
just has to convey the message that you want it to convey. And when you're bringing it to readers and
yeah,
conveying that message. And also, I say networking is so important.
very
Networking
important.
is don't be afraid to ask, connect with other authors maybe who are in your genre or not in your genre. Ask them advice about things. You know what I mean? When had my first book, I didn't know a lot about a lot of things, and I was able to network a lot of authors who are already established in the game and
Yeah.
award-winning authors, best-selling authors. And
Mm.
I was actually able to pick their brain and ask them, "Hey, so how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you promote this? Like, and I mean, the author community has been so wonderful because I haven't really
Lovely.
ran across any authors that won't be like, hey, yeah, I would love to help you, and give
Mm.
advice, give guidance, give an instruction and stuff like that you can utilize to help boost your own brand. I mean,
Yeah.
so network, those are two of the major things: networking, making sure the book doesn't have to be perfect, and also
Yeah.
understanding that marketing and promotion is big because if you don't do that part, nobody will know that your
Nobody.
book exists if you don't market and promote it. So you
Absolutely.
have to push that. If you don't, then you have a hard time having things come to the forefront with your readers that you want to reach in that way.
That's amazing. That's quite true, really. I love your advice, and I'm hoping that viewers, even including myself, would love to utilize it. Now, what are the purchase platform for the book? In case we have some
Oh
view.
yes. So you can go visit my website at jimpricebooks.education. That's jimpricebooks.education. That's my website. And
Yeah.
all my books are there that are for purchase on all the different links. All my books are there to purchase. I had post my animated first anime art cartoon episode there too as well. And you can see my animated cartoon episode on YouTube. So if you typed in like Harold from the Hood cartoon,
Yeah.
you could see the first animated episode. And I mean, I just never would imagine from the first book,
Uh,
like all the stuff would be materializing like this. But I mean, when you're living in your purpose and you're favored and stuff, favored by God, man, and to do the things you do, then anything's possible. All doors are open, and I just continue to
mm,
always be humbly grateful for all the opportunities and to be able to connect with so many different people from so many different places. It's just a blessing.
it's a great one, really. It's a huge blessing. It's a huge
Mm.
blessing. And I left a link in the description part of this interview my interested viewers can get a copy of Dr. Jim Price books directly on Amazon and Barnes& Nobles on his website and also on other platforms. I also left link to his social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Jim, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. And also, this is more than awesome. Very great, quite exciting and lovely having this conversation with you around your beautiful titles, around the children's books, around your inspiration, and it's quite lovely, really. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming on.
I also want to make sure my publishing company,
Yeah.
Carradine Publishing Company, gives a shout out to Sherry Carradine. She was an instrumental part of having me have this
Wow.
configuration too, in terms of the books and stuff. So, Carradine Publishing Company, if you're looking for publishing opportunities to be able to publish things, that's definitely a company I would recommend. Carradine Publishing Company, I definitely want to thank them for helping me bring Hell from the Hood to light, and who would ever imagine all this stuff would happen based on that stuff, back then.
That's quite amazing too. All kudos to them as well. Thank you very much, Price. This was quite great. It's lovely to have you on.
I appreciate having the opportunity.